A lot of young people now in America are poor. They're tired of it. They're sick of being poor. Man, I can remember way back when I was so poor I rolled up my change for cigarettes. I've rolled change for a bottle of whiskey before. I've had to choose between green beans and corn because that was all I had for dinner. And that was the only thing I ate that day. Being poor sucks. The trouble with that isn't being poor, it's just poor life choices. Seems to me there's a big misconception. You're confusing being poor with being broke. Being broke is temporary. Being poor is eternal. Poor people generally have one set of clothes that they wear around because that's all they have. Poor people walk everywhere, and they do it in really bad shoes because that's all they have. They don't have money to get new shoes. Poor people will find leftover or discarded food and brush the ants off of them and be so grateful to have that discarded food, to have something in their belly for the day. That's poor. And make no mistake, when you're poor, begging or asking somebody else for a handout, there's a lot of people who say, I'd never do that. You would if you went hungry. I can guarantee you that. But people in America today, and probably the world over, they're not poor. I have seen so many videos of these people sitting in cars talking about how tired they are of going to work every day and how tired they are of paying bills and there isn't enough money left to do anything with. And so what do? They use their credit card to finance a lifestyle, to get the new purse, to get the new shoes, get the new outfit, the new TV, the new video game, the new weed, whatever you're doing. That's not being poor, man. That's making poor life choices. You're broke. Broke is temporary. Poor is eternal. I do want to be clear on this. It's difficult now for young people. It's always been difficult for most young people because you don't have any traction. You're getting started with nothing. And if you're booted out of the house at 17, 18 years old, and you're already starting behind the eight ball, kind of. I mean, you're trying to get a vehicle, you're trying to get a place to live, you have no money generally saved up. It is a tough go, man. But that's broke. It's temporary. Yeah, it's tough, absolutely. But let's not conflate that. Is that the right word? I don't know. Let's not confuse that with being poor. Let's not confuse that with it being 17 in 1935, when the entire economic structure of the country has just been thrown on its ear, when natural disasters have swept the country and there's no work for anyone. You're 17 years old, maybe you have a high school degree, maybe not. You're hopping freight trains in the only set of clothes that you own to go look for work so you can make $1, so you can buy something to eat. Going from state to state, riding illegally on the railroad trains because you don't have money for a ticket. Just hoping that when you get to wherever you're going to find some work. That's poor. And there's not a whole lot of hope on the horizon. Not in 1935. I've seen these videos, these people sitting in these fancy cars, clean. The headliner ain't sagging. I mean, first of all, you have a vehicle. Second of all, it's got a good headliner. It's probably fairly new. Maybe what they call cash poor. It's the terminology is where you get lost. You got too much car. So you got to get rid of that car and get something less than. And there's no shame in that. You can get a really good solid car for about $3,000. It's a heck of a lot better than $40,000. And you can pay for it and not have to carry full coverage insurance. Well, there's a savings of money. Let's not confuse poor choices and being broke, temporary, with actually being poor. Well, the rent is so high, you have a place to live, and maybe you have too much house. Maybe you're cash poor, or I'm sorry, maybe you're house poor. Where it's just there's so much money going. There's $250,000, $500,000 for this house. Well, guess what? You can't afford it. You made a poor decision. You need a less house. It turns out you don't need granite countertops. They don't add much day-to-day fulfillment in your everyday life. You can get there, but right now you can't afford it. That's just poor life choices, man. That ain't being poor. It's being broke. A lot of times in my life I've been broke. Almost every one of them were a result of poor life choices. Bad decisions at crucial times. And it's even worse. It always rains, pours rain at the most inopportune times. And maybe you had some extra money and man, I'm doing all right. I'm ahead a little bit. I get a new TV, whatever. I mean, throw it. In my case, I get a new guitar. And then the transmission goes in the vehicle. Well, you just spent the last of your money, and now something breaks. Well, you go back to it's probably a bad decision to buy that guitar just because you were a little bit ahead, without having a nest egg in case something did go wrong, like the transmission in the vehicle. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah, it sucks every day to get up and go to a job you don't like. That's nothing new. I hate to break it to you, that is nothing new. And the worse your job sucks, and it just kind of creeps in, now your mindset sucks, it makes it even worse. You get the Sunday dread where I gotta go back there again tomorrow. That's nothing new, man. That's always been a thing. But you're trading your labor, you're trading your time for some cash so you can eat, so you can pay the rent. So, yeah, it sucks. That is not a new phenomenon. It is tough for young people. It's tough for older people, too. The cost of everything's going up. Wages aren't. Wages really haven't moved in 1972. And you can go back and look at the math. Wages have pretty well stayed stagnant while profits have gone to the moon. It's a sham deal. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it isn't. I'm just saying it's nothing new. This isn't some new phenomenon. We're slaves. No. Slaves didn't get paid anything. And they didn't really have any free time. Now, they did have free food and lodging. I think the whole slavery thing's been kind of... Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying slavery was good. It was an abomination. Again, we're trying to say that modern day work, age thing is slavery. It isn't. I'd be willing to wager probably 6 out of 10, maybe more, of this business now being quote unquote poor is poor life choices. And God help me, spare me, the single mom with her eyebrows done and her nails done and her new clothes and her new car, talking about how she can't get by. Poor life choices. Where's your man at? Where's the father in them kids? Where is he? Those are poor life choices. You can't sit then and complain with this is crap. I'm sick of this. I'm sure you are. Whose choice was it to spread their legs? I'm just saying. And for men, it's the same way. If you got weed and you got video games and you got the cutting edge chair behind you with thing, and you got Nike Air, whatever. That's great, I guess, if you can afford it, but you can't probably. Not if you're making videos about being poor on the internet. You got a damn iPhone or whatever version of it. You have a phone that you can take with you anywhere you can go. That's not poor, baby. It isn't. All these terms are changing, and there's been a great misunderstanding of what is and what isn't. You might be broke. I don't doubt it. Not trying to keep up with the newest fashions and the $300 shoes and the wristwatches and all this other crap. You want to blow your money on that stuff, have a field day when you can afford it. But you can't do that and then turn around and say, well, upon poor. Truth be told, personally, I've never been poor a day in my life. There's been days I've gone without food, days that I've gone without food. And your whole mindset changes and shifts when those kind of things happen. But another thing that happens is you sit and think about, how did I get here? Poor decisions. But I've never been poor. I've been broke. That's a whole different thing. So let's not sit here in the brand new car without a sagging headliner. That's the telltale sign that it's a good car. Headliner ain't flopping in the breeze when you're going down the road at 50. You got a brand new car, you ain't poor. You might have made a poor decision, probably did, buying that thing. And the whole setup with the parents, get out of here. You think it's so easy, you'll find out in the real world. That's wrong. You're setting your kids up to fail, and of course they're going to want to come back at some point because they can't make it. This whole dynamic is wrong. Didn't used to be that way. You stayed at home and you helped out. You weren't a drag on the home folks. You did a little bit to help out, and you saved up. And what it amounts to for the common layman is you out-earn your perceived poverty through time. You just wear it down. And maybe, you can buy the fancy new Apple Watch. God knows why you'd even want one, but if you did, maybe you can later when the bills are paid and you got a little nest egg to fall back on in case something breaks. And you want the stupid watch, and then go get it. Fine, great, super. You got a fancy watch. Woo. You don't get to do that stuff until you can afford it. I mean, this should be... I would think parents would teach their kids that. And people say, I'd be taught finances in school. Who's going to teach it? The teacher don't know. They're poor too. Well, they're not poor, they're broke because they're paying for these vehicles sitting out in the parking lot that you use an hour a day, and the rest of the time it sits. 23 hours a day, that thing's sitting. You're going to pay through the nose for that. If that's what you want to do, have a ball. But then don't sit here and tell us how you're poor. You're not. You're just broke. And usually broke people make bad decisions. That's my take on it. You can leave a comment in the doobly-doo. This is just a big rant is what it turned into, really. Well, anyway, I felt it needed to be addressed because I keep seeing these. I don't know, I probably clicked on one of them and they just keep popping up. We're so poor. We're slaves. We can't do this. We can't do that. You could, over time, you wear it down, you outlast it. And especially now when the jobs are falling off, there is no such thing as secure long-term employment. Those days are gone. You got to prepare for that. The times have changed. I'm not ignorant of the fact. The people and the mindset needs to change with it. You're not poor, you're just broke. And that's just a temporary thing. Okay, so put your comments in the doobly-doo. Hey, I thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. I'll see you next time.